Welcome to our training videos for sales staff. We appreciate your time invested to understand our product, Perfect Pickler Vegetable Fermenting Kits. Here's our product in the box. The kit on the left is our flagship kit. It is called Master System Wide Mouth. This is our complete set. This kit is not sold online anywhere, not even on our own website. The kit on the right is called Ferment More, and it is an add-on kit. It provides the customer with 2 additional fermenting sets. This way they can ferment more than 1 jar at the same time. It now has a sticker on the box that says Components Only. So when you think of the difference between the 2 kits, just think complete set and add-on sets. Fermentation is an age-old method to preserve food. While both canning and fermentation preserve the food product, only fermentation provides probiotics and more. So here is what people have used historically. They were very big and heavy. You would cover the cabbage with a plate and set something heavy on top. Then the whole thing is covered with a towel. While this method does work, it presents some problems. Number 1, you have to babysit it. Number 2, it gives off odors. And number 3, the results are inconsistent. You also have to make a large amount every time, so hopefully you like what you make. Today you can purchase smaller crocks and even crocks that have an airtight seal. This seal is created by putting water into the ditch or well in the lid. The problem is that the water in that ditch evaporates rather quickly, and if you don't check it daily, you will lose your airtight seal. The Perfect Pickler manages everything. No spillage, no odors, no canning, no heat, no added cultures, no monitoring. Simply load it, lock it, and leave it. Create your own affordable fermented vegetables in just 4 days. Our catch cup is made of 18/8 stainless steel, which does not interfere with fermentation like other metals do. Not only does it provide a place for expanding liquids to pool, preventing seepage outside the jar, it also holds the vegetables below the brine surface, like a weight would do. Also, the catch cup allows you to fill the jar as full as possible, eliminating maximum oxygen. Our catch cup is lightweight and buoyant. Our fermenting lid is made from BPA-free materials and is an attractive color. In general, the fermenting vegetables will never even touch the lid. The no-spill gasket not only ensures an airtight seal, but its unique design prevents spillage from the jar by preventing the brine catch cup from suctioning to the lid. The gasket has a patent pending. Our Clearview airlock gives visual evidence of an airtight seal. Without this visual evidence, how do you really know if your vessel is airtight? Our competitors may claim an airtight seal, but a seed or spice could easily interfere with that seal, and without visual evidence, you would not be alerted to a problem. By the way, liquids inside our airlock cannot get inside the jar. When your fermenting jar has an airtight seal, the water inside the airlock will move and push over to one side. Sometimes it doesn't move far, but it should be at least off balance. So here is a demonstration video that shows you the process of how to make what is called brine pickles. This is just any vegetables covered with a saltwater brine. In this method, you make a brine using the ratio of 1 tablespoon of salt for every 2 cups of water. Only use spring or filtered water. Do not use tap, distilled, or well water. The amount of brine you need will vary from recipe to recipe, so just make it up as you need it. Vegetables are left whole or cut into pieces. Brine is added to the jar to cover the vegetables. Please note that cucumbers can be difficult to ferment. We suggest using pickling cucumbers that have been very recently harvested. Ferment cucumbers whole. Do not cut into pieces until after fermentation. The Perfect Pickler fermenting system manages it all. Simply load it, lock it, and leave it. Load the jar with your choice of vegetables and seasonings. Set the brine catch cup on top of the vegetables and hold in place with your finger. Add as much brine as you can, making sure the cup remains empty. Now let's lock it. Insert the no-spill gasket into the bottom of the fermenting lid. Make sure the hole in the lid is left open and is not blocked by the gasket. Screw the fermenting lid onto the jar while pressing the cup into the vegetables, making sure that the cup remains empty. If there is excess brine in the jar, let it flow out of the jar as you affix the lid. Gently turn the lid until just hand tight. Do not over-tighten. Pour a small amount of water into the top of the Clearview airlock to the max lines. Gently twist the Clearview airlock into the hole in the fermenting lid to 1/4 inch depth only. This is the fun part. Place the jar in an area that has a temperature of 69 to 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Avoid hot, bright sun. The Perfect Pickler system will manage everything. The hard part is waiting to enjoy your delicious fermented vegetables, but they will be ready in just 4 days. Store the completed recipe in the refrigerator after fermentation is complete. Traditionally fermented sauerkraut is just as easy to make with our Perfect Pickler system. Here is how that is done. In this method, brine develops from kneading vegetables, usually cabbage, with salt. This process releases liquid from the vegetables, or cabbage, which becomes the brine. When shredding your cabbage, you will want to get it as finely shredded as possible. We recommend this jumbo mandolin. When salting the cabbage or vegetables, use the ratio of 1 teaspoon of salt per pound of cabbage. The Perfect Pickler fermenting system manages it all. Simply load it, lock it, and leave it. Load the jar with your choice of vegetables and seasonings. With this method, only fill the jar 3/4 of the way full. Tear pieces from the outer cabbage leaves to make a cover. This will prevent shredded cabbage pieces from floating to the surface of the brine. Our brine catch cup will keep this all pressed down. Check to make sure enough brine is available to cover the cabbage leaf. You can usually find more brine by draining off the bottom of your container. When making a 2-quart batch, it can be helpful to make a wedge out of the core of the cabbage or from an onion. This can bridge the gap from the cabbage leaf cover to the bottom of the brine catch cup. Now let's lock it. Insert the no-spill gasket into the bottom of the fermenting lid. Screw the fermenting lid onto the jar while pressing the cup onto the cabbage leaf. Gently turn the lid until hand tight. Do not over-tighten. Pour a small amount of water into the top of the Clearview airlock to the max line. Gently twist the Clearview airlock into the hole to a 1/4 inch depth. This is the fun part. Place the jar in an area that has a temperature of 69 to 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Avoid hot, bright sun. The Perfect Pickler system will manage everything. The hard part is waiting to enjoy your delicious fermented sauerkraut, but it will be done in just 4 to 10 days. So you see, it is super easy. Jars don't have to be sterilized, and a day set aside for the task isn't needed. Plus, don't they look beautiful? I enjoy just watching the process. Now let's take just a few minutes for me to explain how the process of fermentation works. How does it actually preserve the food? There are 3 main factors: salt, temperature, and avoiding oxygen. Salt is very important in this process, and both water and salt are necessary for life. Salt is basically minerals. A good unrefined sea salt will contain 70 to 80 different minerals, as opposed to table salt, which only contains 2. Our bodies are made up primarily of water and minerals. Salt bars were the first form of money used, and wars were fought over salt. When we mix the salt and water together, something special takes place. Think of salt like batteries. Once you mix it with water, salt becomes like charged batteries with lots of positive ions. So the salt water has a stronger charge than what is in the plants, causing the liquid from the plants to be drawn out. The liquid from the plants is full of wonderful carbohydrates. Now, already present on the skin of vegetables are little organisms we call beneficial bacteria. These actually come from the soil. These beneficial bacteria organisms would love to consume the carbohydrates that have come out of the vegetables. They would also enjoy the 70+ minerals that come from the salt. The only issue for them is that they do not have a digestive system. So instead, they create enzymes that spit and spill from their bodies and digest the carbohydrates and minerals in the brine. The minerals and carbohydrates are then ingested back into the bacteria. And this makes them super happy. And they start having babies like crazy. So while they were creating these enzymes, they were actually making the fermented foods an enzyme supplement. The enzymes are still present in the finished fermented food products that allow our bodies to use the same enzymes to digest the food that we eat. In addition, they give off beneficial acids which are known to the public as probiotics. 1/4 teaspoon of sauerkraut contains 40 million colonizing units of probiotics. But more about the benefits later. Let's finish up with how it works. So now let's talk about spoilage organisms. These are the ones who do the work of spoiling the food. By the way, I hope you like my son's drawings. I think he captured the look of spoilage organisms better than I could have.